we're a top 10 all-time seller on Etsy, and we would custom make everything for you. And the pandemic came, and we're out of business. We literally shut everybody down. Everyone goes home. We have nothing to do.
Imagine you're the CEO of Portland Leather Goods. You produce leather goods in record time. The rhythm is flawless. Business booming.
We were just blowing up. We were doing great. We thought we were top of the world, and off.
The world changed. COVID struck, casting a shadow over everything you've built.
Everyone's freaking out because everything in e-commerce is slowing down. You can't get the funding. Banks are going under. You cannot get the money that you want. Everything was a hassle. And I thought we were done. There were nights there where I was like, I think we're done.
Yet, in the heart of adversity, a glimmer of hope.
You have more things to lose. So what is your advice for them in making kind of tough decisions? How do you go about it?
I say, believe in freaking magic, or believe in yourself, or believe in the world and take steps out there. Books will be written about people who got afraid and people who were bold. And I would rather do something than nothing. So it was scary.
How do you navigate this challenging landscape and bring the magic back?
We were worried because...
Welcome to Top CEO. I'm chatting with Curtis Matsko, a CEO and founder of Portland Leather Goods. And Curtis, take me back to Portland, Oregon, circa 2020, the beginning of the pandemic, when suddenly you've got, 70 or 80 artisan leather makers that come into your workshop in Portland to do things. But there's only one problem, which is now we're not allowed to do that. It's the pandemic. And set the scene and what you were thinking when all of this was going on, and you'd already built a $4 million business.
It was so great because we bought this beautiful building, 24,000 square foot, got it all made with these wooden tables, hired these artisans and trained them in Portland what to do. I went down to Las Vegas to watch the Pac-12 women's basketball championship. People started talking about this thing called COVID. I don't need it. Don't worry about it. Flew back. 3 days later, Oregon said, shut down.
Shut down. So you have this beautiful facility. You got people coming in, and just to give you a sense of give the listeners a sense of the orders. Right now, you have like Etsy stores. You're a top 10 Etsy store in your space, and you're getting orders for thousands of sort of custom made leather goods, correct? At this point with
Everyone takes 12 people because that's how we set it up. Artisan, we're artisans. So we would handwrite. We wouldn't even print it up. We would handwrite the order up exactly the size and exactly the letter. And did they want initials on it? And what custom thing? And it would go down. We would hand cut these beautiful leather hides that we got from León, Mexico, the heart of leather making in North America. We got these beautiful hides. We'd hand cut everything, go around. We'd have a Reed College graduate, looking sure it was fine before they put it in a box and put a freaking ribbon on it and sent it to somebody. And we were just blowing up. We were doing great. We thought we were top of the world, and off. Literally just shut down. Everyone goes home, and we had about 5 or 6 people still coming in. And we walked down in the basement. We had some things that were made, and we're like, we can try to sell this up, but we got a month. We got a month left. And my marketing guy, his name is Maverick, and he's brilliant. He's brilliant, and that he's naive enough to just believe everything's going to work out, right? And he said, Curtis, books will be written about people who got afraid and people who were bold. It is not time to be afraid of the pandemic. It is time to be bold. And I said, sounds good to me. I got on flight to Mexico. Go on, Ben. Go ahead.
And before you get there, I just want to give a sense. So just the background before we talk about kind of how the business transitions. But to get to this point, it's a success story in its own right, just for context, because you came, really as like an early proponent of internet marketing. You had a business speaking around the world, teaching others to be more internet marketers. So you had that background, but then this act in sort of making leather goods, how did you get into that? Like, take us from like internet marketer to this, and we can sort of say, because even just getting to 4 million in sales and having the Portland, workshop and all of that is a success story in its all right. So I just want to give the right context.
So this is for the 1 or 2 people who's listening. I had a 10-year span in there of drinking that I don't really remember. After losing tens of millions of dollars in the internet crash, I literally drank for about 10 years. And it's all kind of hazy. And I stopped on June 6th, 2012, and said, I'm going to take life slower. It's no matter what, that is the last day I will ever drink. And I did everything I could. Number one, to stay sober for a couple of years. And then as life started to go, I was in no rush to build a big $100 million company. I started making things in my garage. And my girlfriend at the time had a bad job. And I said, if you quit your job, I will start up a big company. And she said, what are we going to sell? And I said, these little leather journals. And she's like, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard of. And I'm like, no, before you met me, I was an internet marketer. I know what I'm doing. I can do this. So we started at art festivals, went from a couple $1,000s a weekend to 20, 30, some $40,000 weekends. Then we moved into a big building, bought the building, and started selling on Etsy and became like we were just killing it on Etsy. And then the pandemic came and I thought we were done. There were nights there where I was like, I think we're done. And I got on a plane with 3 masks, and it was the only one to Mexico, to Guadalajara. Had some people I knew from León, Mexico. Remember I said the all leather in North America is made in León? Somebody picked me up at the airport, drove me in, and something magical had happened, Ben. All the artisans who make all the leather shoes that you know of, these top brands that you know of, all of those people had been laid off because of the pandemic, but they could still work and they wanted to work. So you could really spread them out wide in a big, huge facility where they could sit 20 feet apart. So we got 5 sewers who were willing to start sewing our bags and shipping them in. And then we went to 10 sewers, and then to 20, and then to 30, and then grew and grew and grew. And it's miraculous, the quality of the people and what happened in the last 3 years.
Take me through, this moment of, it sounds like you had inventory for a month. You could keep selling things that you had. You were known at the time on Etsy as being, customized, but also very fast turnaround. As I understand it, you would say like, hey, you're going to get a 5 days, a custom made leather good with your initials in it. And 5 days later, you're going to have it, which is a great value proposition. So you have all of that. And at this point, what was your thought process of, hey, the pandemic's preventing me from, plus we've just invested in all this sort of stuff in Portland. We can change operations, but at that point, did you think about, well, hey, maybe we ought to just like close down for 6 months and do this, or maybe we ought to, are there certain types of leather goods that, are easier to make remotely that we could get people set up? Or like, take me through the thought process before you get to León, Mexico.
Fortunately, my brain is such that I can't imagine 6 months from now or what I would do in that time, because I'm always trying to do something. So it's more on a daily basis. But yeah, you always think about what are we going to do? But I always have about 3 days or 3 nights of sleeping before I say, that's it, I'm moving on to the next one. The biggest thing was convincing my people, because they were a handmade product. And all of a sudden I said, we're going to go to León, Mexico and have other people handmade this product. And that was the hardest thing, is to say to them, here's the ship that we're going to do. That was a difficult thing, because you're going from hand making in a garage to a different scale. But what we found out was the quality was better. The speed was better. The artisans were just the most amazing people you're ever going to meet in your entire life. And it was the hardest year I've ever done in business, was that first year of the pandemic.
And why was that? What was like your top 3 most challenging aspects of that during, if we think back to 2020?
Number one, you don't know when it's going to end. That was the thing. But if you think back to the pandemic, every week you're looking at the news to say, do we have another week or do we have a month? They say that torture is not the pain that you get, but not knowing it's ever going to end. They say that's really what torture is, that you don't see the other side of it. And it was hard to see the other side of that at that time. Then you're just dealing with the bureaucracy of trying to get people in and safely ship the products out that you want to do to stay in business. That was really, really difficult. And then I had other voices, very wonderful people in my life saying, it's not worth trying to grow right now. Take it easy. go calm, stay at home, do that thing. And there was a lot of voices saying that. And I had to overcome that, the other voices of other people, the fear that we're actually doing to, and that we're going through. And I just figured going forward was better than sitting still. And that's really what it came down to.
What were just the challenges of just like picking up and doing business in Mexico? Like just from a point of view of like logistics, operations, company, or was that incidental and was more just like, how do we like, get products shipped out? Or like, what was just the challenge of just moving to another country, which is always going to be challenging, but in a pandemic where things are shut down and things are closed down and maybe you can't get to the office you need to approve this permit in the same way, and you can't do things like, how do you do it?
How do you set up? I need a bank account, but all the banks are closed because of the pandemic. I need to get a business license so I can send things over the border, but you can't because everything's shut down because of the pandemic. It literally, everything was a hassle. Everything was. But no one else was doing anything, and I would rather do something than nothing. So it was scary. But then I met a gentleman, his name is Fabian. His father ran a leather bag making facility, and his goal in life was to run one. And he said, give me a room and a place to plug in machines, and I already have friends who are the best artisans, and I will take care of everything. And he's one of those people that you trust. You know what I'm talking about. You know this guy is just never going to lie to you. He is going to do what it is. And I trust him. I said, here you go. Here's a bunch of money. Here's my trust. Here's my respect. Here's my future. Can you make it happen? And guess what? He did. He literally created this up. And then another woman we met named Adriana, she was making $6 an hour at a tannery when I first met her several years ago. And she was just great. She now runs all of my operations worldwide. She now literally runs all of my companies. She's the most amazing person. And I said, Adriana, can you do this? And she said, I've never done it before, but let me try. Boom, 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 boom. And those two people are the ones who gave me the confidence to move forward. Because I don't think you can do this thing on your own, Ben. I know you hear a lot about solopreneurs. If I'm not around good, positive people, I will freeze up somewhat. I need to be able to say my idea out loud to somebody and have them say, Curtis, that's a good idea. We can do this together. If I don't have that, I will not leave my house.
And it sounds like you have people there that you have a lot of, that you were fortunate, blessed,
yes.
Maybe be a better way to say it, to have met. But what is your role in this? Are you the visionary? Are you the optimist? Are you the creative force that's saying like, hey, we're making this style of bag for this kind of audience because it doesn't exist at the price point we can make it at? Or what is, I guess, and we'll get into magic, and I know that term's important for you, but what is your magic and little pixie dust that you sprinkle versus other people? It sounds like you have some pretty good operators who can operationally execute things.
But number one, I would say I'm the energy. There's just no doubt about that. I am the energy. I'm always moving us faster forward than everybody says you're going too fast, you're going too fast. So I'm the visionary. I do all the designs. I work with the designers and that. But the most important thing is I do the marketing. So I'm designing products that I believe I can market. I'm creating a product at a price that I believe will be fit online, that will hit the strings that we want to, that will be able to scale that we want it to do. So it's putting those all together. I mean, I'm a energy 7 days a week type of guy, but I literally have surrounded myself with people who are the guideposts to keep me that energy going to where it needs to go. Because I don't shut down. I don't. And that will either drive you crazy unless you have good people implementing every day on what that is. So yeah, I'm the visionary, I'm the energy, but I will never, if anyone sees this, I am not the reason Portland Leather Goods is successful. It wouldn't happen without me, but it's literally this line of people who just blow my mind every single day.
So take us to the end of 2020 then, or maybe it was a little past the beginning of 2021. By the time you kind of your first year, your year in León, Mexico, where were you revenue-wise, sort of reinventing the business and production? What happened?
Just a little bit, but we went to about 14 million. It hurt, but we started picking up. We always do a lot more in the second half of the year. Number one, we're getting better. Then you have Labor Day and Christmas. So you're always going to do more. And I said, we can go to 30 million next year.
So you had your kind of 1 year anniversary in Mexico. You took a $4 million business. It got kind of reinvented. You're able to turn that into a $14 million business, and profitable at that point, or difficult, or
Day one. We've never not had a day we weren't profitable.
Okay. So you're profitable, like anyone who's kind of self-financing a lot of things. You can't go long periods of time being unprofitable, right? When it's your own money, especially.
The only thing you can do is go to a bank and they say, can you tell us what you've done the last 3 years? And you're like, nothing, but I'll tell you what I'll do in the future. And they don't believe you, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So it's all at the cash flow. Everything, it has to be profitable from day one.
And what was like margins like kind of Portland days versus you're there in Mexico? What is like just in terms of like,
very much the same. Yeah, very much the same. It's a smaller scale. We could not have scaled up more in Portland because we literally hired every artisan we could. Anybody whose mother had a sewing machine and knew how to sew something, we were hiring, right? And then we were training them what to do. But you're running out of people. We literally got Lewis and Clark and Reed College. These are very high scale liberal arts schools where people would graduate and say, I want to do something fun for a year. I want to be an artisan. And they would sew for a year before they hiked the Appalachian Trail or they went to teach English in Japan, right? These are not a long-term thing. So we were capped. We didn't know we were capped, but we were capped. So it was a blessing.
So what happens in year 2 in Mexico then? What starts to scale? What sort of changes as you go from, and do you go from about 14 million in revenue? Do you about double it?
Well, we go to 14, then we go up to 32 to 33 the next year. And we just needed more space, more people, more hiring, more training, and more leather, And I'm not exaggerating. This is not a sales pitch. Nobody on here, go buy our stuff. That's not what I'm doing. We literally use the best leather in North America, which means of all the hides that come in, we use the top 20%. So we started using so much, they're like, you're taking all the best leather. Now, a shoe, you can have a little piece cut for your thing, but to make a bag, you need a big piece that's beautiful, that's this big, right? So we were going through leather, and there were a million challenges on what that was.
And is the leather also being sourced in Mexico in that same area itself, or does leather come in and it just gets worked on there?
Well, FARC, it's the most eco-friendly tannery in North America, and it is 3 blocks away from our main facility where we make. So it literally goes out their door, goes 3 blocks away and into our facilities where we would then make the products. Panamericana, who is one of the best in the world, they are 5 blocks away from us. So we're really at the source of the leather.
I see. So now it becomes just scaling things because you have a successful model, you've reinvented the business, but now to grow, you keep needing more and more and more. And now also other businesses, like it's not the early days in the pandemic anymore. Like more people are coming back online, digital's doing well, digital sales, e-commerce business, things are coming on. And is there more competition for your people? Is there more competition for resources? What is all happening there? I guess circa end of 2021, 2022.
That was our fear. And we really did. We were worried because in Mexico, people take off for Christmas for like 2 weeks, and they also get paid off for the year. So in January, usually, no matter the best artisans, 20 to 30% don't come back to work. They take the first couple months off. And we had like hundreds of employees, and we had every single employee come back. And I asked our management, why is it? And they said, we give them healthcare. We have a doctor on site. We pay them bonuses. We pay them more than what they're supposed to do. And they're amazing. They're our friends. We like them. We treat them with respect. So all of a sudden, everybody in León wanted to come work for us. We had people lined up. We had more people than we needed, right? Again, coming back to that magic thing, if you do enough right things, things get a lot easier in some facets. And we had everyone wanted to come to work for us at that point.
I see. It's interesting at that time because we kind of think about the pandemic accelerating a lot of digital transformation of companies, right? Certain categories of things where people are not buying groceries digitally, or on their phone. Now they are, and now they're comfortable with it. We think of a lot of digital transformation to remote work happening during this time, right? People becoming more familiar that, hey, we can work over Zoom and the world will not fall apart and things like that. But in your case, it's unique in that really it was like a people opportunity for you? Like, one, because you were kind of capped out in Portland and just having enough supply, it kind of forced you in one fell swoop to sort of pick up to go to another place. But then suddenly there was this like, a lot of people available, which is exactly the kind of people you need. And then plus some of the key relationships, some of the key people you had that allowed factories to function and operations to happen. It all happened. So was that just good fortune on your part? Were you just blessed to the kind of cards fell right away? Or was there something else at work that where like the people and the relationships are actually a pandemic opportunity, especially at this point in time?
So I live in León, Mexico now. I'm actually at my home here in León. And the one thing that I haven't mentioned is I'm the youngest of 4 boys from Montana, okay? All my older brothers are bigger, stronger, and meaner than me, right? So I'm the little
okay.
trying to gauge and run and figure out how to make people smile and laugh. And I became a people pleaser and a people reader, okay? I went through a lot. And then, as I mentioned, I had 10 years of drinking in the middle. You learned a lot about people. And you learn a lot about when you stop drinking, about very carefully reading who people are. Is this a person who's going to make things better in your life or not? That's a really important thing. And I believe more than anything, I have that ability to get everyone in León, Mexico said, how did you get all of these amazing people to work for you? Some of them, some I just found and I trained up to be the people that they are. It's the magic sauce that you have is the people that you deal with. I'm going to tell you something that may scare a lot. I don't even know how to get on my own business accounts. I don't even have access to my own money. I haven't paid a bill in years myself, right? I have people I trust more than I trust myself that run all of this. And I have a lot of experience just meeting people and making them better. And I don't hire people who say they're great. I hire people that I know are really good inside, who themselves are driven, and I don't have to motivate them. All I have to do is say, you can do it. You're better than you think you are. It's okay. We can do this together. And that is the number one thing that I do in this world, is I take a good team and I let them know everything's going to work. We always do, and we move forward as a team. It might sound like bullshit, Ben, but it literally is the heart of my company.
Well, and as that gets translated, like take us through, because time is marching on, right? So the pandemic, everyone's like, what is this thing? We don't know. Then it's like, things are like, we're still, concerned about the pandemic, but people are like settling back into work patterns, and people, there's a burst in buying things online, and people are, open up emails, which is great for you. If you're a, online marketer, people are like opening up your email. That's at a high rate. That's a good thing.
Yes.
You come to the sort of the challenge of scaling more of this. How did you finally get past the sort of, first of all, before we get to after that, the leather challenge, just sourcing enough leather to keep this growing?
You're really good at this, Ben. I just got to tell you, I've talked to a lot of people. You are really good. You hit on something, because let's go back to what was happening with e-commerce at that time. If you went on to someplace to buy some furniture, the one you wanted was sold out, and the next one was sold out. So you either wait on a waiting list for 6 months, or you buy something different. And everyone in e-commerce thought they were geniuses. They're like, we are so good at this. And what did they do? They ran their projections out for the next 3 years, and they ordered all of this product that wasn't going to be made for another 10 months, right? Those ships weren't coming in from China. They were not coming in from India. You weren't getting that product.
Supply chain problems across the board. Everywhere.
We're sending everything we can directly to Dallas, Texas. Within 3 days, it gets to Dallas. They put it, the computer scans it in, and it sells, and they ship it out. So our inventory levels were perfect. Everything we made, we sold, because we had this setup. So we didn't have this backlog. What you don't know is what happened in 2023. I'm in the heart of shoe country right down here in León, Mexico. Every major shoe brand that you know called and stopped all their orders. Why? They had ordered so much in 2021 and 2022, and everything's going up. And all of a sudden, it dropped off. And there are warehouses in the United States with millions and millions and millions of shoes, and everybody's discounting, and everyone's having trouble getting funding because of that. So January, February of this year, 2023, everyone's freaking out because everything in e-commerce is slowing down. You can't get the funding. Banks are going under. You cannot get the money that you want. So all the big brands that you know that are selling leather shoes, they've slowed down. They wanted to see what was going to happen. At that time, I did something weird. I said, let's double again. Let's keep going of where we're going. And everyone said, are you sure? And I said, absolutely, we can do this. And that's where we're going from. We went up to 2020, we did 1530. We jumped up to 64. Am I getting my years mixed up here? 2022, we did 64. 2021, we did 14 or 33. The year before, we did 14, and then we went back. This year, we'll do 120.
I see. So it's been consistently doubling from, first year, 14 million, then 30 plus million, then 64 million. And now you're on pace to do 120 million. And why are you able to not have the, maybe sort of supply and inventory issues other people do? Is that because you control each part of the process? So you're not taking, booking manufacturing time in a plant 10 months ahead of time, doing guarantees to do that. You're more responsive because you can just tell your folks, let's make more bags instead of shoes because bags are up and shoes are down. Is that the reason?
Or this particular bag is up, right? Everyone else goes to these conferences and said, what shoe's going to hit next spring? Shoes are a year out. They're designing for next fall right now. Not this fall, next fall, right? People are putting in orders this year for next fall, hoping that that's what's going to sell. When we sell and it's working, I can literally go to the source down the street and talk to my friends and say, make more of that. And the next week, they're actually making that shoe, they're making that bag, and they're actually doing that, right? So I shortened up that line so you don't have a lot of this excess inventory. And the other thing is our connection of marketing. I'm the head of all the marketing, okay? We do have a chief marketing officer, but we talk together 5 hours a day until 11 o'clock at night, every night. And we decide, what do we create that's going to sell? Not let's buy something and try to sell it. We create and
so basically the merge, because you're also saying you're designing a lot of the items too. It's because sort of product design and marketing have been smushed together that allows you to be very responsive to what you see and to create something that actually has a market in it. Because if it doesn't, and you see that right away, you're just going to kill it and do something else that would have a market.
So good. My personal assistant, Mariana's back here, and you're doing the same thing. I say all these words, and then you just summarized it down to make sense of it. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. I will look at our website and say, what shape of bag are we missing for the design? What's going to look different on this page? What are the different textures of that leather is going to be? What are the colors that are going to be there? I come from a total marketing side, and then I design that bag for the marketing side to see if it's going to sell. We do, as everyone does, we do surveys to see why people buy. The number one reason people buy, number one, is the design. Number two is the leather. It's not all the other things that you put down. It's they love the simple design and they love the beautiful leather. And that's 68% of all of our people right there. So as long as you have a beautiful, simple design and use the best leather, it's kind of a simple magic that you do there.
Well, and what is if we kind of look forward now, and you made a decision that you're going to keep, increasing the scale. In some ways, what you're saying is regardless of sort of like macroeconomic conditions, we feel we have a sort of a winning model. We're going to keep growing. What are the challenges? And as you get to be over $100 million business this year, what are new challenges? Does it continue to be supply at an even greater scale? Does it continue to be at some point? Do you tap out people and resources where you are? What is the challenge?
Three things: your management. You still need more better people. You need the good people, but you need more of them. Number two, you become a logistics company. You have to have the right materials at the right time, at the right space. It's got to be logistics and financial. I envy people who say, we went up by 20% this year. That sounds really easy to me. Doubling while you're making money and paying taxes on it and building inventory and carrying over, doubling is an obscene thing. So can you keep getting the right people? Can you logistically have all the things you want? And can you have enough money in order to keep things perpetually going forward? We've been profitable since day one. And the reason is I started this at art festivals. If I didn't make money, I couldn't pay gas on the way home. And that is a fact. There were art festivals I was away. I'm like, do I have enough money to pay for the hotel and pay for the fee to eat and have enough gas money to make it back home? So you're pretty lean at that time, right? Now, I had run a big internet company before that, but I was trying to make it work dollar for dollar and penny per penny and getting that to work. That, as long as that stays with you as you scale, I think that your profitability is what's surging you forward. It's very hard to double at that point, but we're still doing it. For the first time next year, we're not going to try to double. We're going to go from 120 to about 180 million. It's about a 50, it's much smaller, but it's very doable. And I think it's the right step for us.
Well, and how do you think about markets and strategy at this point as well? Meaning, do you continue to be like, hey, we have these leather goods at a surprising price point that is different, that kind of disrupts the market? Do you stay with that? Do we continue to have a focus on North America? And there's a heck of a lot of customers there, but there's a lot of folks in Asia that like buying leather goods too. How do we sort of balance opportunities and look and also be choiceful to grow, but not take on too much that we can't execute?
We're not near the top of hitting for the U.S. market. We can't hit the top because we can't make enough, even at the rate that we're at. So we're going to stick with the U.S. for at least another year, which is very, very important. We have so much room. And I can't prove this, but from my research, Ben, if you add all the smaller leather makers, because I know a lot of the companies that are out there that make leather and they do 5 million and 10 million and 15 million. If you put all of them together, they're half of what we are, right? There's no one from us up to about that $2 million range, right? The brand name companies that and there's all of those big makers. There's
for you to like 2 billion in sales.
Okay. There's a wasteland all the way up to that, right? There's just nobody there. And because it's hard to do that scale from 10 million to 120. There's a lot more complexity to that. And it's hard to say in an interview like this, but I think back and I think of every day we're accomplishing a hurdle to get there. So we have so much growth just in the US that we're going to continue to build that up. I want to go slower because I think my people have been working really hard and I want them to enjoy it. And I want to really become even more profitable and even stronger in what we are as we decide what we're going to be in 2025 and 2026. I've taken my foot on, and I'm in Mexico all the time, so I'm a little more laid back than I used to be.
Well, and what's a mistake or two that you've made along the way? Obviously, this is sort of a major shift, and you can't. I don't think anyone bats 1,000. What were some mistakes? That come to mind.
They're going to be odd ones, and I don't want this to be taken wrong. Number one, I wouldn't go with my gut when I knew the answer was right, because there's 10 people around me saying, don't do this or don't do this or that. Don't buy the building that we're going to move into. That's too scary. Don't move to Mexico. Don't try to do this. And I would be hesitant on that, even though I knew in my heart it was the right. So I finally had my chief marketing officer said, Curtis, your instincts are right. Don't let a group of people talk you out. And it's been hard because as I say, I'm the youngest of 4 boys. I want people to like me. So I want to get everybody on board before we go forward. And you can't always do that. Sometimes you have to make a decision to go forward and then everyone catches up to you. And I know that sounds like a little cheesy on that. Number two, I think I put my own ceilings on us. I think I didn't see the world big enough. I would say this month or this year, we're going to do this. And then we would hit it. And then I'd have to recalibrate and say, this year, we're going to do this. I never thought 3 years ahead. I never thought 5 years ahead. We started in the garage. People say, did you think you would be here today? And I'm like, well, sure I did. No, of course I didn't. I just hoped that art festival was going to pay enough gas money, right? So I put limitations on myself and I didn't trust my gut to move forward sometimes when I should have. Those literally are the number one things I've had, because I've not made the mistakes on people. I have not made a mistake on hiring people yet. They've just been the best. And that's usually what the problem is.
Well, and what is your advice for other entrepreneurs, other founders, other CEOs that have to do something major to reinvent what they've built? I mean, the challenge is, you usually what makes you a good entrepreneur at the beginning is that you're willing to tolerate risk and you're willing to tolerate uncertainty and you believe in things. And because if it was super easy, then the market would already be saturated or it would already exist if it was that easy to do. So you have to have that self-belief. You have to be willing to tolerate risk. But then as you go on, as you become more successful, it's natural to become a little more risk adverse. You just have more on the line, skin in the game. It also can come from a really compassionate place too, right? You got a lot of people you employ. You make a mistake, something else, then a lot of people who depend on you for their livelihood are out of work. So it makes sense. So what is your advice in sort of balancing for anyone who has to make kind of a major shift, a major change? And success can sometimes, I sometimes call it the jaws of success, which is sometimes success makes it difficult to make the kind of decisions that are required because you're already kind of successful. You're already doing fine. So you have more things to lose. So what is your advice for them in making kind of tough decisions? How do you go about it? How do you stick with your gut versus how do you listen to other smart people that may have good insights to share?
The one cliche thing that I always say is the quote. It's a book title of a book I've never read that said, "What got you here won't get you there." Right?
Okay.
And I don't know I don't know who wrote it. I just know it's a book that says what got us here won't get us to that next level. So you have to be reinventing yourself, and you cannot be afraid of reinventing yourself. What do I say for somebody in terms of how do you overcome those? Because you hit fear hurdles every week. You're always going into the unknown. My employees come to me and say, "I've never done this before," and I said, "You think I have? You think I've actually done this company before?" Like I'm out in front. I'm Lewis and freaking Clark, man. I'm walking out there and I don't know what I'm going to find. I said this recently and I've become to believe it more and more. I used to think business was a formula, and now we talked about this earlier. I think you have to believe in magic or faith or hope or the world. If you do not believe this world is a good place and that things will work out, I'm sorry for the life that you're living right now. I say believe in freaking magic, or believe in yourself, or believe in the world and take steps out there, because it's too afraid to not believe. You just be sized up with fear. And I've also, the little hack you have that I'm sure, Ben, you do this and everybody does this, is you always say if it messes up, well, I learned something and now I'm farther ahead, right? There's always an out. Moving forward is always good. When I screw something up, I always, in my twisted way, say, what a great thing I did. I'm glad we moved forward and we did this because now we're farther ahead. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I know that I believe that if you move forward, things work out. And it seems like they do. I must be mentally ill, Ben, because I forget all the problems that I had. If you've asked me about my problems, I remember my successes. I don't remember how hard it was to get here. And I don't know why that is. Some people say I stacked up all my failures and I had trouble celebrating my successes. I celebrate every day, every success I have. Poor Mariana, my assistant, is over here. She knows if I do one thing right, I will celebrate myself all day long. And I think that's a good celebrate your successes.
Sure. And I also think it's this moment of, regardless of the outcome, whether it's success or the failure, what you take with you is the learning. That's your way of saying a silver lining. My way of saying you just take with you all of that knowledge, and that knowledge is valuable. So if you have, 50% chance of success, 50% chance of failure, it could go either way, but you get one benefit that you get from doing something or going for it or gaining that experience. You gain the experience, the learning. So in all things being equal, if it's, let's say this isn't a life or death decision, if it's 50% chance of success, 50% chance of failure, but if you go for it, you get the experience, you get the learning. You don't get that if you don't go for it. That tilts the odds in your favor. It's just a mathematical way of describing fortune favors the bold. Why? Because you get more experience. You learn faster.
And see, I'm dumb enough, again, that I forget I'm older and that I've had so much experience. And when I had this work, I finally got it right this time. I told my cousin, right? And he's like, Curtis, you have so much more experience in doing internet marketing, in people, in this, in this. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe that 30 years of all of this that I actually added up into a person who is now capable of doing the things you need to. But I thought it was, no, I'm not that person. I'm someone making a judgment today. But all of this, everything you've ever done in your life, for good or bad, it adds up into the person that you need to be in order to do that. And you're right, Ben. You're absolutely right. Fortune favors the brave. It favors those people who actually step out of their house and go out and try to do something. It just does.
Mm-hmm. Well, absolutely. And final question for you, Curtis, is where would you like all of this to head? I mean, do you just want to do you want to bridge the divide, and that gap between the $2 billion companies now, and you're going to be the one that shoots up and conquers that? Do you just want to build a massive company? Do you just want to see how far you can take this? What is your North Star? A lot of people would say you've already achieved, quite a lot of success already. You could also just enjoy your time in Mexico and let other people struggle with running a business. What drives you, as kind of our final question, and where, if we check in with you 5 years from now, where do you hope you'll be?
I don't know what drives me, but I know that I hate Sundays because I'm ready to get back to doing the things I want, and everybody's on the weekend, and I feel wrong calling people up and talking business. I love what I'm doing, and I love the people I'm surrounded with. And last summer, we got a very, very big offer. One of those life-changing, forever offers for our company. And it took me about an hour to say no, because I couldn't imagine my life getting up and not living the life that I'm living now. So even if we go up or down or it fails, I'm going to still be around the people that I love to be around every day and building something. And before we started this, Ben, I met some real nice folks that work with you, and they said, how are you doing? And I said, life treats me well. I live a really good life. I don't want anything to change. Yes. Do I want the next goals of next year? Yes. Will that breed more opportunities? Yes. Will I be someplace that I can't even imagine in 3 years? Yes. But I will be around great people. I will not, there's no more in my life of saying, yeah, this person's a pain in the ass 90% of the time, but I still need them in my life. I literally just hang out with the best people in the world. What you don't know is I just had some CEOs of different companies that you may know that I've met, and they're like, hey, Curtis, can I come see you in Mexico? So last weekend I hung out with these CEOs down here and showed them my house and showed them around, and they had such a great time. And I'm like, wow, sitting at dinner with amazing, kind, smart people, it's pretty awesome. I think that's what I like to do, hang out with good people. And right now, the good people work for me. So why not just stick around longer? Do I think we're going to race it to 200 million and 300, 400? Yeah, I do.
In a world where magic is a whispered secret and the unbelievable is made believable, our journey this episode took us through unprecedented challenges. From the shroud of COVID-19 that cast a somber spell on our planet, to the unexpected shutdowns in Portland, we witnessed obstacles that seemed insurmountable. Yet, like any skilled magician faced with a conundrum, there's always a sleight of hand, a redirection, a way out. Curtis's audacious pivot to León, Mexico wasn't just a geographical shift, but a testament to resilience, adaptability, and the undying spirit of enchantment. These tales, while filled with twists and turns, teach us an invaluable lesson. Even when faced with the harshest of circumstances, with a little creativity and belief in oneself, the impossible becomes possible. And so, whether you're crafting spells or solutions, or navigating the complexities of life, remember that every challenge, no matter how great, can be transformed into an opportunity. And with that, it's case closed.